Since the beginning of history, human beings have sought to understand the true secret behind those who achieve great fortunes, extraordinary feats, and profound transformations, not only in their own lives, but also in the lives of others. What distinguishes those who reach the top from those who remain on the path? Is it luck, talent, or is there a formula that all of us can apply? Napoleon Hill dedicated more than 20 years to unraveling this mystery. He interviewed some of the most influential and wealthiest men of his time, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, and many others. What he discovered was astonishing. They all shared common principles, a way of thinking, and a philosophy of life that seemed to be the master key for turning any thought into wealth, any idea into action, and any dream into a tangible reality. These discoveries were captured in an immortal work that has inspired millions of people around the world, Think and Grow Rich. A book that, beyond money, is about inner wealth, mental strength, clarity of purpose, and the certainty that within each of us lies a creative power capable of shaping destiny. Today I invite you to walk with me through these teachings, to weave them together with historical and modern examples, to dive deeper into each principle, and to reflect together on how you can apply them in your own life. Because remember, if it is not first in your mind, it will never be in your reality. And if this message resonates with you, if you feel the time has come to open your mind to new possibilities and transform the way you think, subscribe to this channel. Here you will find more content on mindset, affirmations, the law of attraction, and practical tools that can help you manifest the life of your dreams. This is a space created to inspire you, to motivate you, and to remind you, time and time again, that the true power has always been within you. Everything begins with a thought. But not just any fleeting thought, not an idea that comes and goes without leaving a mark. We are talking about a thought charged with emotion, conviction, and purpose. A thought that becomes such a clear image in your mind that it is impossible to ignore. Napoleon Hill expressed it in a phrase that has transcended generations and remains as powerful today as when he first wrote it: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This is not just an inspiring statement to decorate a book or a speech, it is a universal law that has been proven again and again throughout human history. Think for a moment about all the wonders we now take for granted: the electricity that lights up our homes, the airplanes that cross oceans in hours, the computers and smartphones that connect the entire planet in seconds. All of these creations were once just thoughts. A spark in the mind of someone who dared to dream the impossible and had the courage to sustain that dream until it became reality. Edison conceived the light bulb at a time when darkness was the norm after sunset. And although he failed more than 1,000 times, he never gave up on his vision. Each attempt, each mistake, was simply one more step toward the materialization of what already existed in his mind with absolute clarity. The Wright brothers imagined that humans could fly, something most people considered absurd, and yet, with ingenuity, perseverance, and unshakable faith, they made the first flight at Kitty Hawk, forever changing the way we move around the world. Henry Ford dreamed of a car that was not a luxury for the few, but a possibility for millions of families. Despite criticism and disbelief in his time, his vision forever transformed industry and everyday life. That same pattern is seen today in modern leaders. Elon Musk was ridiculed for wanting to take humanity to Mars and for betting everything on electric cars when the auto industry said it was not viable. Yet Tesla and SpaceX today stand as symbols of innovation and of what it means to dream big. Jeff Bezos began with an idea that seemed simple: selling books online. But what truly drove him was a much broader vision, the conviction that online commerce would transform how the world consumes. His clarity was so strong that he persisted against doubt and skepticism until he turned Amazon into one of the most influential companies on the planet. Oprah Winfrey, from a childhood filled with hardships, transformed pain into purpose, building not only a media empire but also a mission, to inspire millions of people to believe in themselves and to live authentically. Steve Jobs, with an obsession for simplicity and user experience, dreamed of a device that would combine communication, music, photos, and global connection. What began as a thought became the iPhone, an invention that redefined the way we live and connect. What do all these people have in common? They first built in their minds what later manifested in reality. They had the ability to believe so strongly in their vision that this belief became a magnet capable of attracting resources, people, opportunities, and circumstances. That is the difference between a simple wish and a creative thought. A wish can fade with the first difficulty. A creative thought, on the other hand, persists, grows stronger, and eventually opens paths where there once were only obstacles. And here lies the key: the universe always responds to clarity and conviction. When a thought is accompanied by faith, emotion, and constant action, it ceases to be just an idea and begins to become an inevitable reality. History confirms it, the present proves it, and the future will continue reminding us that everything, absolutely everything, begins in the mind. The first principle Napoleon Hill reveals is burning desire. And we are not talking about a simple, I would like, or a vague intention to be successful. We are talking about an inner fire so powerful that it consumes you from within and pushes you to act even when everything seems against you. Hill discovered that behind every person who achieved great accomplishments, there was a desire so intense that it became a true obsession. An obsession that could not be extinguished by criticism, setbacks, or difficulties. Thomas Edison was not content with the idea of inventing something useful. He burned with the passion of lighting up the world, of giving humanity the ability to conquer darkness. That inner fire kept him standing after more than 1,000 failed attempts. Anyone else would have quit, but Edison was possessed by his desire. The same happened with Henry Ford. He did not simply wish to manufacture cars, he became obsessed with putting an automobile in every home. When the industry called him crazy and when experts insisted it was impossible to produce vehicles at low cost, Ford clung to his burning desire, and that desire ended up transforming the lives of millions of families. That kind of desire is not a whim, it is a driving force that becomes creative energy. It is the spark that ignites action, that gives you strength when your strength seems exhausted, that makes you rise again and again even when the world tells you that you cannot. That is why the question is inevitable: what do you desire so fervently that you would be willing to get up time after time, as many times as necessary, until you achieve it? When your desire is strong enough, when it becomes that positive obsession that keeps you awake at night, the entire universe seems to conspire to open the way for you. But Hill also warns us, desire alone is not enough. Desire needs an inseparable ally, faith. Faith is that inner conviction that drives you to walk in the dark, trusting that when you take the step, the ground will appear beneath your feet. Without faith, dreams die in doubt. Without faith, any obstacle seems definitive. With faith, however, even the highest mountain becomes a stepping stone. Look at Edison again. He did not simply wish to light the world, he had faith that his vision was possible, even when thousands of voices mocked him. Elon Musk continued to believe in Tesla even when the company was on the brink of bankruptcy and it seemed his entire empire would collapse. It was his faith that sustained him, that made him persevere until the world began to see what he had already seen from the very beginning. Oprah Winfrey believed in herself when no one else did, when society and her circumstances told her she had no chance. It was her faith in her self-worth and her purpose that lifted her to become one of the most influential women of all time. Faith is not about sitting and waiting, it is not folding your arms expecting something magical to happen. Faith is action with conviction. It is acting with the certainty that what you desire already exists in your mind, and that if it exists in your mind, it can inevitably become real in your life. And here lies a truth so powerful it can transform your destiny. Your subconscious mind believes everything you repeat with emotion. If every day you repeat with conviction that you are capable, that you are valuable, that you have what it takes to achieve your goals, your subconscious will accept it as truth. And when the subconscious accepts an idea, it becomes a silent engine that pushes you toward situations, people, and opportunities that once seemed inaccessible. Just as a magnet attracts metal, your faith united with your burning desire attracts the circumstances you need to make your dreams real. Do not underestimate this principle, because the difference between those who quit and those who reach the top lies here, in the burning desire that becomes obsession and in the unwavering faith that sustains the journey, even when the path seems impossible. Because what you imagine clearly, what you hold in your mind with passion and conviction, little by little becomes your reality. History proves it: first it is imagined, then it is created. And that same law is available to you, here and now. Remember, if this message is resonating with you, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who, like you, wants to unlock the mental code of wealth. But dreaming is not enough. Hill emphasized that dreams are the starting point, but organized planning is the bridge that turns them into action. Dreaming is essential, because everything is born in the mind. But without a plan, dreams run the risk of remaining in the realm of illusions. The plan is what gives shape, direction, and structure to what you imagine. Henry Ford did not just dream of a car accessible to everyone. He drew up a concrete plan, to design a system of mass production that would reduce costs and multiply efficiency. That plan, together with his persistence, led him to revolutionize not only the automobile industry but also the way the world understood work. Jeff Bezos did not just dream of selling books online. He organized a solid structure that allowed him to gradually scale up, going from a small online bookstore to the company that today dominates much of global commerce. Walt Disney, when he spoke about his idea of building a magical park in the middle of swamps and empty lands, was considered a naive dreamer. But Disney planned every detail with obsessive precision, designing a map that guided everything from the layout of the streets to the experience of each visitor. What seemed like fantasy became the most visited place in the world. Your plans do not have to be perfect, because perfection paralyzes. What matters is putting them into motion. Because a plan, in essence, is a starting point, and it is perfected along the way, with action, with adjustments that only experience allows. The universe does not reward intentions, it rewards actions. Here comes another fundamental principle: decision. Hill observed that successful people have something in common: they make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while unsuccessful people hesitate for months or years, and when they finally decide, they change their minds at the first obstacle. Deciding is more than choosing, it is committing. It is cutting off indecision, closing the door to doubt, and opening the door to action. Ask yourself, do you want to be financially free? It is not enough to desire it, you must decide it. Do you want to build a business? It is not enough to dream it, you must firmly decide that you will, and act accordingly. A firm decision has more power than 1,000 doubts. Because doubt disperses your energy, while decision concentrates it like a laser beam capable of piercing any obstacle. Now, no decision matters if it is not accompanied by an indispensable ingredient: persistence. Persistence is the trial by fire that separates achievers from those who give up. Edison persisted more than 1,000 times before giving light to the world with his light bulb. Walt Disney was rejected dozens of times by banks and businessmen who considered him a dreamer with no future. Elon Musk persisted even when his rockets exploded in the air and when Tesla was on the verge of disappearing. If something unites them all, it is that they never accepted defeat as the end. Persistence is that invisible force that keeps you standing when circumstances try to knock you down. It is the ability to keep moving forward even when fatigue, frustration, and criticism try to convince you to quit. Hill said that most people throw in the towel just before making it. And it is true, many times, success comes right after the last attempt you were about to not make. That is why you should never allow yourself the luxury of giving up. Every failure, every fall, every stumble, is not a sign that you cannot, but that you are one step closer to your goal. Persistence turns the impossible into the inevitable and transforms dreamers into creators. Hill also spoke of a principle that, although many overlook it, is one of the most powerful: the power of the mastermind. No great achievement in history has been the result of a single person. The great visionaries understood that true power does not lie in individual talent, but in the sum of talents aligned with a common purpose. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men of his time, acknowledged it without hesitation. Much of his fortune did not come from his own ideas, but from the wisdom and experience of his advisory council. Thomas Edison, although remembered as a genius inventor, actually worked surrounded by a team of brilliant minds that helped materialize his visions. Even in our era, tech giants were not born in solitude. Google was built by Larry Page and Sergey Brin working together in a garage, and Apple emerged from the synergy between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, each contributing complementary talents. When you join with people who share your vision, who believe in the same purpose, and who put their strengths in service of that goal, something greater than the sum of its parts arises: a collective intelligence. It is as if, when several minds unite, a higher spark is ignited, an energy that multiplies ideas, accelerates processes, and turns the impossible into the inevitable. That is why you must surround yourself with those who elevate your vision, not those who extinguish it. Look for people who believe, who contribute, who challenge you to grow. A single conversation with the right people can save you years of mistakes and bring you closer in months to what others take decades to achieve. Now, this external power has an internal counterpart just as transcendental: the subconscious. Hill described it as the intermediary between your conscious mind, where you think and decide, and infinite intelligence, that inexhaustible source of ideas, creativity, and solutions available to everyone. Your subconscious is like fertile ground, everything you plant in it grows. But here is the secret: it does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. For your subconscious, what you repeat with emotion becomes truth. If your conscious mind feeds it with thoughts of fear, scarcity, or doubt, those seeds sprout in your life as obstacles, shortages, and limitations. But if you nourish it with images of success, with words of abundance, with emotions of gratitude, your subconscious takes care of aligning the pieces of the universe so that those visions become your reality. It is as if your subconscious were a powerful magnet. What you constantly give to it, it attracts to you. That is why great achievers practice visualization, autosuggestion, and the repetition of positive affirmations. Not because it is an empty ritual, but because it is the most direct way to reprogram the subconscious. Visualize what you desire in vivid detail. Feel as if you already have it. Speak as if it were already yours. Act from certainty, not from lack. This is how you train your subconscious to become your most powerful ally. Your subconscious mind does not judge, does not question, does not put up obstacles. It simply executes what it repeatedly receives with emotion. That is why it is vital that you become the guardian of your thoughts and emotions. What you imagine today, what you feel today, becomes the life you will live tomorrow. Finally, Hill spoke of a mysterious but profoundly real principle, the sixth sense. That inner voice many call intuition, gut feeling, hunch, or spiritual guidance. Hill described it as the gateway to infinite intelligence, a connection with something greater than ourselves. And though it may sound mystical, history is full of great leaders, inventors, and artists who confessed that their greatest discoveries came not from logic, but from a sudden spark, an unexpected inspiration. Nikola Tesla said that complete ideas for his inventions appeared in his mind like a flash, without prior calculations. Albert Einstein admitted that the theory of relativity was born from a simple visual thought: what would happen if I rode on a beam of light? Steve Jobs trusted his intuition so deeply that he often said you cannot connect the dots looking forward, only looking back, and that intuition always knew where to go. This sixth sense is like an inner compass. Sometimes it appears as a sudden idea, other times as a physical sensation, or as that quiet voice telling you, this is the way, even when your rational mind doesn't understand it. Learning to listen to it is an art, and it requires silence, trust, and openness. How many times have you had a hunch that turned out to be true, or a sense that something wasn't right, only to later discover you were correct? That is your sixth sense trying to guide you. But here's the most powerful part: this sixth sense grows stronger when you apply Hill's other principles. When you have a burning desire, when you cultivate faith, when you train your subconscious with autosuggestion, when you apply knowledge, imagination, planning, and persistence, your intuition becomes clearer and more precise, as if the universe were speaking in a language you now understand. If you look back, you'll see that Hill's principles are not romantic theories or pretty words. They are universal laws that repeat again and again in the lives of those who achieve greatness. We see it in Edison, in Ford, in Carnegie, in Oprah, in Musk, in Jobs, and it can also repeat itself in your life. The difference between those who transform the world and those who remain dreamers is acting on these principles. And the most inspiring thing is that today, more than ever, conditions are in your favor. We live in an era where opportunities are limitless. Knowledge is no longer a privilege of the few, it is one click away. Technology, globalization, and artificial intelligence have lowered barriers and opened doors that once seemed impossible. Today, anyone with an idea, discipline, and persistence can create something that impacts the world. Never before in history has it been so possible to transform a thought into a tangible reality. But here is the key: none of this will matter if you don't take action. Dreams without action are only illusions. You can have the most inspiring vision, the strongest burning desire, and the most unshakable faith, but if you don't take steps every day, everything will remain in your mind. Thought is the creator, desire is the engine, faith is the fuel, action is the path, and persistence is the key that opens all doors. Repeat these words until they are engraved within you, until they become your truth. I am the architect of my destiny. I am the creator of my reality. I have the power to manifest the life I desire. Because you do. And the only thing missing is that you believe it, feel it, and live it with daily action. It doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you are going. It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen, what matters is that you can always get back up. It doesn't matter what others say, what matters is what you believe is possible for you. Plant thoughts of abundance, cultivate a burning desire, surround yourself with minds that lift you higher, act with persistence, and trust the inner voice that guides you. Wealth, in all its forms, begins in your mind. What you imagine clearly and feed with faith will sooner or later be yours. Because if it is first in your mind, it will inevitably be in your reality. Remember, if this message resonated with you, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who, like you, wants to unlock the mental code of wealth.